Hey everyone, welcome into the studio for another edition of Youth Baseball Midwest. Today, I am joined by my son, Justin, who he's the producer, director, engineer of the show. And we thought we'd put him on camera, see how he did.
We'll see. We'll see how this goes.
We'll have some fun with it. But today, we want to bring some perspective. That's part of what we wanted to do with the show. Perspective, insights, and some fun. We have fun. We have a lot. We were bringing on our guests. There's the word I was looking for. It was great conversation this week with Kenny Seifert from Misha.
Yep.
We had Matt Shadow for our first YBM cast. We hope you enjoyed that talking. We're going to got some more coming up that way.
Yeah, a lot of really exciting things coming up.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
And we're looking forward to it.
Yeah. I think it'll be really fun. Got a lot of guys that have a lot of knowledge, information about what's going on in the St. Louis area. So definitely click the bell. Make sure you're subscribed because we got great stuff coming up.
Yeah, Jim Cromer, we got him coming next Tuesday.
Yes. Yep.
So great conversation with him, so I think so. Yeah, it's actually you got to hit a dinger.
There you go. Yeah,
you
hit
subscribe and then hit a dinger, and you'll get the notifications.
Yep, exactly.
We're baseball, baby.
Yep.
But today, with perspective, we want to talk about, we just put up a blog this past month, Definition of Sportsmanship. And I started off the blog with the Merriam-Webster Dictionary definition, which reads this, and I have to put on my glasses, pardon me. It says conduct such as fairness, respect for one's opponent, and graciousness in winning or losing, becoming to one participating in a sport. Okay. So if you want to, we're going to talk just some points here. Check out the blog, read it. We'd love to hear your comments from it and things like that. But one of the things that I think is interesting, Justin, and is, we talk about fairness.
Right.
We over the past, 30 years, we've seen a lot of things within baseball. If we're talking just baseball, from steroids to banging on trash cans.
Yeah.
That, quite literally cost people their jobs.
Yes, it did. And
right?
it cost people not only jobs, in my opinion, but reputations.
Yep.
Which sometimes can be even more detrimental
right.
than just losing your job, because you can go find another job if you need to, or get picked up by another team. But if your reputation is tarnished, if your reputation is hurt, then you're going to have a tough time.
Well, and we saw that, whether you think it right or wrong. In this shortened season, and I know there were a lot of people that had turned off sports and turned away from sports, and that's fine. I have no problem with what people have done as far as, with those types of things. But if you understand what happened during this season, we'll just put it quite frankly, the Houston Astros, they got pummeled.
Yes, they did.
Quite literally.
Yeah. By multiple pitchers.
Right? Wrong, or indifferent, whether you believe in that stuff or not, that there was the players kind of showed their displeasure.
Yes, to put it lightly.
Yeah.
Put it lightly, yes.
So when we talk about fairness, what do you see? You play, playing ball, you just finished your college career. Where do you see that? What did you see in your experience with that?
Well, in college, I wouldn't say I had any issues with fairness, maybe necessarily. Although if you look at it at times, I'm not going to name any names or anything like that, but I would say some of the maybe unfairness I saw was with coaches, whether that came in the form of favoritism, different things like that, to where it caused unfair things between players, and that caused disdain, and then it caused issues within the team itself. And whether you think of that as sportsmanship or not, based off the definition provided by Merriam-Webster's dictionary, that
Right.
fairness within playing time, within different things like that, by guys that are working hard, putting in the time, putting in the effort, but because coaches, and I'm not just talking about with just me, I'm talking about in general from what I've seen, multiple teams, multiple guys that I've talked to, that guys have lost playing time just because coach didn't like them as much as another guy.
Right.
And no matter what way you put it, that's not fair to the team. So that's lacking sportsmanship, and it's lacking character within the coach themselves.
Well, okay, it's a good point. We're talking about sportsmanship in this respect. So we only usually put it into one perspective
Right.
in the sense of on the field with one another. Does that reflect, is that sportsmanship in that same fashion? Do you think that fits within that same category?
I think it does, because sportsmanship isn't just about players to players while they're on the field. Your competitors. It's also having to do with coaches, has to do with umpires, has to do with everything that has to do with sports in general. And that includes in practices, that includes what's going on off the field, how guys interact with one another. However, someone is interacting within a sport towards one another, in my view, is sportsmanship, and it's respect.
Would you take that off the field as well?
Yes.
Just in everyday life, right?
Yeah, I would, especially. I mean, I know with the definition, we usually think of sportsmanship
I
within
understand.
sports in general, but that is off the field as well, and how we interact with one another.
Well, if we're looking at that, in just the definition itself, you talk about conduct as such as fairness, respect for one's opponent, and graciousness in winning and losing, becoming to one participating in sport. Well, okay, but conduct, it doesn't necessarily have to be toward your opponent, but conduct towards your teammate, towards the coaches, towards the umpires, towards the people, the fans.
Right.
It has to do with how you conduct yourself, period, as a person, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and I think one of the big things when looking at this is conduct off the field affects what goes on the field when
Okay.
you're dealing with sports,
Mm-hmm.
because things that happen off the field can affect attitudes, can affect behavior, can affect anything that then transfers onto the field within a team dynamic, within anything like that. So that is conduct that's affecting the sport, within the sport.
And you've seen sometimes where players at the professional level or even at the high collegiate level have been suspended, dismissed from the team for conduct detrimental or unbecoming to the team, or conduct detrimental to the team, right?
Right, exactly.
So that does, I think, bode to or go to what you're saying, that conduct isn't sportsmanlike in the sense of fairness. And here's the other piece of this, when we're talking about this, conduct, fairness, then respect.
Yes, I agree. That's a big part of that.
That term right there, what does that mean, and where do you see that within the scope of what we're talking about?
Respecting one's opponent is a huge part of sports, and we see it in a lot of positive ways in major league sports, college sports, stuff like that, with guys, and talking about off the field, guys backing up players or things like that. If I've seen guys that get suspended for terrible reasons, for reasons they should never get suspended for, and guys are coming out and saying, "Hey, we're with you. We support you in this. We're doing all these things. Even though this happened, we still respect you as a person," and that means a lot to people.
Right.
So that is great sportsmanship between guys that are conducting themselves. So respect goes a lot way to show people's character and showing people what you think of them as people, whether you're on the field, off the field, wherever that's at. If you don't respect someone, then you're not going to treat them well. You're not going to be a good teammate. A lot of those things come with respecting someone on and off the field.
Right. And I think it goes a long way within the locker room itself, the people within that, showing sportsmanship towards your teammates. We always talk about this as an opponent.
Yes.
But I think that there's a greater need for sportsmanship within the confines of the team itself.
Yep.
because how do I show fairness to, the guy sitting next to me? How do I respect that person? How do I show that respect to that person who is being the consummate teammate? He may not be getting all the playing time.
No.
But he's there. He's working hard. He's putting in the work. He's a good teammate. He's sitting there on the bench saying, "Hey, I'm with you guys. Support. Hey, I saw this. What do you think?" And I think it's tough sometimes. Respect it. There's that guy on the bench, right? Who's watching the pitcher. Everybody comes back in and whatnot. And he goes, "Hey, you know what? I think you might be tipping a pitch here or this, that." Mm-hmm. And do you respect that player enough because he's sitting on the bench to take that information and use it?
Right. Yeah. And honestly, sometimes some of the guys that aren't playing are able to see those things better than the guys that are playing, because we're so focused at times on just being in the game, getting ready for the next pitch, getting ready for the next at bat, that we're not paying attention sometimes to the minute things that are going on outside.
Right.
That's where guys on the bench are so important. And, in my experience on my own college team, some of the guys that didn't play as much, that didn't get as much, were guys that I respected a lot more than other guys, because they worked harder. They continued to have a good attitude. They continued to be that even though they weren't getting there. I'm not going to say his name, but one of my friends in college, he was a 4-year JV player. Okay, so obviously not the best talent.
Right.
But he worked harder day in and day out than most of the guys on that team that I knew that played varsity. And he never had disdain for any of the other guys. He always supported us. He always said, "I love what you guys are doing. I'm here for you if you ever need anything." And I had more respect for him than pretty much anyone else on the field.
Right.
But he got to play one weekend on varsity. It was for senior day.
Very good.
And we were all there for him. It was awesome. It was a great experience. And it's so much more whenever it's something like that.
That's cool. Yeah. And that's where a team needs to understand sportsmanship isn't just about opponents, but it's about the house itself.
Yes.
And understanding the coaches, the players, understanding everybody, because everybody on the team is important.
Yeah.
If you don't have somebody to throw to warm up,
yeah, you're struggling. You're seriously struggling. Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And I think that's perfect to that. And then, graciousness, winning or losing. We talk about, I am this person, and he knows because he's heard it. There's a lot of times people, we don't know how to deal with these things in many ways. But I do believe in winning, and results at higher levels really matter. You lose jobs, pay,
yes.
cut, this, that.
Yep.
It matters. The lower levels, it should be about learning and fun, but learning how and what winning means, I think, is important. And I think that is what drives results in the end.
Yes. Yeah.
But graciousness in losing comes from understanding what a winning attitude is. How many teams across the board, at all levels, you probably see it more in high school, but in baseball, I don't know how many undefeated teams there's ever been.
In baseball?
In just high school baseball, let's put it that way. I mean, you have a stud 10, 11U team, and they have losses.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And even within the disparities of that, there's still somebody, one play, something happens bad, it's so hard in baseball to go undefeated.
Yeah. Your
right?
guy on the mound throwing 90 can't hit the broadside of a barn that day for some reason. It's possible.
Right. He walks, he just does the cha-cha line and walks around the bases,
yeah,
right?
It's happened.
You've been there, right?
Yep. Been there, done that.
It happens. People have a bad day. So when we're looking at these things, it's an understanding that the attitude that you have to have every day in, day out during practice, during those times when you don't feel like it, when you're 0 for 20 and you can't seem to get out of that. What is your attitude? because when you know that that game ends and it's 3-2 and you're on the wrong side of that result, you have to tip your cap. You have to tip your cap to that team. You have to. And understand that, hey, they made one more play than you did.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. That's sports.
Yes. And that, I mean, I struggled with that because I had my last year in college baseball. I mean, I had 2 or 3 games in a row where I threw complete games, one earned run, 2 earned run, or 1 run, 2 runs off like 1 or none earned runs that game, and I would lose 1-0, 2-0. That was tough. Just tip the cap and move on. It was tough because you're like, dang, I should have won this game.
But there, you pitched well.
Yep.
But that's the game. That's the way it works. That's tough. And that happens at every level.
Yep.
And learning how to compose yourself and understand how you deal with those things. We sometimes don't always do it in the moment, but you have to learn from that. And that goes into life itself and life lessons that we are dealing with. When you're in an office, when that person is having a bad day, hey man, I understand. And we have those things. It's still sportsmanship, even in that way. When the game's done and you're working in other places, having that winning attitude, having that same attitude is very important.
Yeah. So, and in that way, sportsmanship is really a mentality.
Yes.
And how good your mental is to stay in the right frame of mind, to respect your opponents, to respect the people around you at all times, no matter in winning or losing.
Right.
And it's a lot harder whenever you're losing.
It is. You can say what you want to, but that's when character is revealed.
Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
I think losing reveals character more than winning at times.
Yeah.
But regardless, those difficulties will reveal it. And I think you're absolutely right. So, hey, guys, that's our perspective on sportsmanship, and we hope you enjoyed that conversation. Look, if this is a subject you want to chime in on, leave us a comment in the show notes below. Leave us a comment. We'd love to hear from you. We'll answer you back. Get into the conversation. Let's talk. Let's have that conversation, right?
Yeah, exactly. And if there's any topics that you think we should be talking about, let us know. Put it in the comments, send us an email, go to the website, anything like that. If there's topics that you think are relevant to what we're talking about right now, let us know. We'd love to talk about it.
Exactly. That's why it's called YBM Perspective. We want to bring perspective to youth sports, youth baseball, and what we're doing around the area. So that being said, hey, remember, all you hitters, we start with the pitchers.
We start with the pitchers.
Sorry, son. You pitchers keep throwing strikes, and you hitters, as the old saying goes,
hit them where they ain't.
That's correct. So everybody have a great day in the Lord, and we will see you next time.